From the very moment that Thor 4 was announced and Natalie Portman was brought out on stage by Kevin Feige and Taika Waititi, announcing that she would be female Thor in this movie, we all knew how it would go. We didn't even need Taika Waititi getting down on his knees in order to hand her the hammer. We've seen this play out, and if anything, the last several years of Marvel movies have only confirmed what we already know, that this is not going to be about Thor, it's going to be about Jane Foster, it's going to be about Valkyrie, it's going to be about all these other characters, even though Chris Hemsworth and Thor will be used to sell this movie. And even though Taika Waititi is trying to say it's going to be unexpected, you guys are never going to believe what we did with this. The reality is, when he's describing what this movie will be for Thor, it sounds like it's just more of the same, which is just another indicator that the movie's probably not really about him. Thor Love and Thunder director Taika Waititi describes it as a midlife crisis film. Wanted to make least expected thing with this franchise. Somehow I don't think you're going to accomplish that, because I think what everyone expects from this movie is for Natalie Portman's Jane Foster to really be what it's all about, for King Valkyrie to really be what it's all about, while Thor essentially takes a backseat in his own movie, while we see him struggle with things that he's already struggled with in every single movie prior to this. But of course, this is the MCU. They're after the normies who are just gonna clap and clap and clap as soon as they see a couple characters they care about, so likely it's gonna work just like Doctor Strange. Thor Love and Thunder director Taika Waititi recently described the upcoming movie as a midlife crisis film. Speaking to Entertainment Weekly about the film, Waititi first detailed he didn't want to make a repeat of Thor Ragnarok, saying, "What I didn't want to do is just make Ragnarok again, because that's been done." So instead, it sounds like what you're going to do is just make a mix-up of the first three movies over again. That's very creative, Taika Waititi. He then explained, I needed to do something more interesting for myself to keep the whole thing ignited and make sure I'm feeling creatively stimulated. I thought, what's the least expected thing to do with this franchise? Let me subvert your expectations. From there, Waititi described the differences between Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, describing Ragnarok as a bit of a party. It was quite festive. He says this one's still fun and it's got moments of being over the top, but thematically, it's about something a bit deeper. It's not serious, but it's not a drama, but we have to deal with issues I think a lot of humans deal with. Universal themes about love and loss and our place in the world. Love, loss, and our place in the world. Let's see, does that have anything to do with what Thor's been through in the past? Love for his family, for Jane, for his brother. Loss of his brother, of his father, of everyone, his entire race of people nearly. Or maybe even his place in the world. Oh, it's not like he had to go through losing his powers and regaining them, going through all of these things in Thor, Thor: The Dark World, Ragnarok, Infinity War, Endgame. No, he's never been through any of this. But that's what we're going to rehash. Waititi elaborated, everyone sort of asked this question in the film. What is your purpose? What's the reason you're a hero? And what do you do when you have these powers? This is just Thor 1. This is just the first Thor movie over again. And I like, full disclosure, I did not like Ragnarok. Not that I thought if it maybe wasn't a different character that I couldn't have enjoyed it, but the problem for me was that Thor had an established tone and an established personality. And that era in the MCU, everybody was just all about making every single character and the dialogue between them like Guardians of the Galaxy, trying to make it exactly like that. And I felt like that was a disservice to what they had built before. Even if Thor isn't your favorite movie, certainly Thor: A Dark World isn't a lot of people's favorite movie, but it did have a difference in tone, and that character was a certain way, and they changed that. They changed it because they wanted to make it Guardians of the Galaxy. He then proceeded to describe the movie as a midlife crisis film, explaining that's the question we ask everyone. Are we doing the right thing? Are we all doing all we can in this world? I think right now, while the world is still healing from this pandemic, it's a good question to ask. It's like, well, are we doing enough to look after each other and look after ourselves? Probably don't try to base it off what's going on in the pandemic. Maybe that's not the best idea because, you know, a couple of years from now, people might not have any idea what you're talking about, might realize how people were gaslit about what's going on in the world. The midlife crisis of asking what your purpose is and your reason for a hero might be new ground for Waititi, but it was one of the primary themes in the center of the first Thor film. Absolutely. We all know what this is. This movie is not for Thor. This movie is not for Chris Hemsworth. He's going to be used to sell it, to promote it, all these things, but we know. We know it's going to be about King Valkyrie finding her queen. We know it's going to be about Jane Foster's Natalie Portman as Thor. That's what this is going to be about. We've all known it from the beginning, and the way that Taika Waititi's describing this movie only kind of confirms that. They're just going to be rehashing things because they know that Thor, at the end of the day, is likely going to be a background character in his own movie. Kevin Feige told us what he wanted to do with the MCU, that he wanted to use these popular male heroes to bolster up heroes that aren't popular, that have failed multiple times, like America Chavez, like not Natalie Portman, but like Jane Foster as female Thor. And that's what this movie will be. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.